Now look, I get it. You come home from work late from the factory, you're tired, you're grumpy,
and you got raid in 2 hours.
The last thing you want to be doing is cooking a full meal. Well, I'm gonna try and change that. What do I think gamers are looking for? I think they want something affordable because you need more money for games. Steam sale's coming up and you got a lot of games you gotta put in the queue. Keep it simple. Minimize unique ingredients. Efficient. We want to break it down into individual segments that can be completed easily and aren't overwhelming. Now, a couple things I want to add. I want to hit you guys with recipes that have some intense and unique flavors. Amazing leftovers. The dish should be extremely conducive to leftovers because that is part of the game. If you cook it on Monday and you enjoy it, you should love it by Wednesday. And I gotta keep it a little health conscious because part of cooking for yourself is taking control of what you put in your body. Well, today I'm talking about Mapo again. I don't want to beat a dead horse, but Mapo is a crazy, unique flavor profile that I think everyone needs to at least try. Maybe you thought South Korea produced the best StarCraft 2 and Brood War gamers, but it also exports flavor. Where is the soul of Mapo coming from? Well, at least one component is Gochujang, fermented red bean paste. Number 2, Chunjang, fermented black bean paste. Last but not least, the Szechuan Peppercorn. A truly remarkable flavor sensation that rounds out our trifecta of the soul of Mapo.
Prep the night before. If you've got a honing rod, give your knife a quick hone. Otherwise, grab that dull-ass knife you've been using for the last 10 years. Let's get ready to mutilate some onions. I'm using a sweet onion here. If you aren't super into onions, the sweet onion has a much milder flavor, and is much less likely to make you cry as you disregard the onion's attempt to dissuade you from eating it by spraying you in the face with volatile gases. Here I'm using a whole onion because I am cooking 2 versions, but for your own attempt, a half onion is a great place to start for a single preparation of the dish. Scoop that onion into a tuppy and put it in the fridge for tomorrow. Prep a knob of ginger and some garlic. If you attempt the bare bones version, you can skip this step completely. I'm not going to tell you how much garlic to use because maybe you don't like garlic. Part of cooking is about your own food journey. I'm using 4 cloves. Dry lentils. This is one mega cheap option to bulk up your Mapo. If lentils aren't on your standard shopping list yet, now is a great time to start. I usually use 1 cup. Dry chickpeas. Lentils' thicker, sexier cousin. If lentils aren't your bag, then grab a bag of dry chickpeas instead. Rehydrate by soaking overnight. Instead of using fresh or rehydrated shiitake mushrooms, I love bulking my Mapo with Crimini mushrooms. I like to snap off the stems and dice them separately, but dice these up however you'd like. Grab a measuring cup or some other fluid type vessel and let's make the sauce. I'm making 2 versions here. On the right in the glass measuring cup, I'm making my personal favorite. On the left in the plastic cup, I'm attempting to make the most bare bones version possible. In the plastic cup, I'm adding 1 cup of water. In the glass cup, I'm adding 1 cup of homemade chicken stock. Into each, I'm adding 1 scoop of each of the 2 types of fermented paste. Chunjang is similar to doenjang, except I think it has a much deeper, richer taste. There are so many delicious vinegars to choose from. Pick your pleasure. But for these recipes, I'm going to go with black vinegar and plain old white vinegar. If you don't have any vinegar, distilled white vinegar won't set you back much, and if you don't like it, at least you can use it to wipe your windows or clean your coffee maker. I'm adding a little bit of soy sauce to each of the sauces. A little bit of cornstarch will add a nice thickness to the sauce. However, I'm going to omit this completely from the bare bones recipe. Into my personal recipe, I'm going to dump a ton of whole peppercorns in. In the bare bones version, I'll restrain myself and simply crack in a much smaller amount. Another one of my favorite additions are Japones, or for those more cultured than me, Japones. Throw these in the refrigerator overnight and take them out when you plan to cook. Okay, now it's time to cook. Add in chopped onion into your hot oil-coated pan. I'm adding a little more onion on the left because the bare bones version is really lacking on ingredients. Add in chopped mushrooms and cook them down. Add in the sauce and thicken for a few minutes. Now this is where I think Mapo tofu scares off some people. Tofu isn't something to be scared of. Soy isn't the reason you have titties. You can add in a variety of protein-rich legumes instead. For example, you can try mashed canned chickpeas, rehydrated chickpeas, rehydrated lentils, shredded chicken, or my personal favorite, that extra firm tofu. In the bare bones dish, I am adding a good portion of mashed chickpeas and shredded chicken to give it some body. Give it a good stir and let it cook down for a few more minutes until everything's heated through. Always taste your food. When you get to the end, this is the most important part. See if it's good to go. See if it needs some more acid to brighten it up a little bit. See if it needs some more salt. At this point, my favorite version was good to go because I've made it so many times. But the basic version needed a little salt, and I also added a little bit of soy sauce to deepen the flavor, hopefully. Now, let's plate it up really quick and let's talk about the results.
If you're keen to try my favorite recipe, I definitely recommend it with a couple caveats. When I make the sauce the night before, I use whole Szechuan peppercorns in it. I like to bite into these little nuggets of explosive flavor and numb the crap out of my mouth when I'm eating. You may find that not super appealing, so grab a pepper grinder. Some people use a mortar and pestle, but that's ridiculous and a bunch more work. Maybe grind up the Szechuan peppercorns if you try the recipe. Caveat number 2, I am a spice monkey. If you aren't quite as into spice, don't eat the Japones. The Japones chilies that I added, don't just straight eat them. I personally love them. I think they're like a 15,000 to 30,000 on the Scoville scale. To put that in perspective really quick, a jalapeno tops out at 8,000. So if you're not willing to eat like raw jalapenos, don't put this in your mouth if you don't want to have a bad time. I wasn't joking. It's real spicy, but it burns so good. Now let's talk about the minimalist version, which is essentially what I described as the soul of Mapo plus a little white vinegar. And that's basically it. Extremely bare bones. Now, is it good? Yeah. It's a little salt and vinegar forward. Those are kind of the only two things you're getting out of it. It's still yummy. I would recommend making it. But is it Mapo? I don't think so. I think I might have to take another step on my journey if I'm gonna find the true minimalist Mapo, because this doesn't have the complexity and depth that this other version has. I'm gonna try a new recipe. I'm gonna try a couple new versions where I add different ingredients back in, maybe powders, maybe garlic powder, maybe ginger powder. We'll see if we can get there. I think the secret might be the shiitake mushroom for the broth. This might drive the complexity to the place where I want it, where I believe you can truly call it Mapo. Anyway, if you try either of these, please let me know. I know this was a legendary flavor profile to start with, which may be a little too scary for some, but I would still recommend trying it. It's so much unique flavor, and I think it's worth it. Gamers gotta eat, so why don't you make it delicious?